All right, welcome. A emergency pod for the Phillies, who have made some news just a little while ago. The Phillies have brought back Kyle Schwarber. He gets a 5-year, $150 million deal. It's an emergency now batting for the Phillies. No Bob, just me. Sorry, everybody. You only get one of us today. It'll be quick. We'll break it down real fast. The Phillies are going to sign Kyle Schwarber, 5-year, $150 million deal, according to Jeff Passan. And listen, Schwarber got the deal from the Pirates on the table. He didn't really consider it, I would imagine. But 240, 56 homers, 132 ribbies. He put up the season that you would want to put up if you, in fact, want to be a free agent. You would say, hey, I'm going to be a free agent this year. I might as well hit 56 homers. Now, 33 years old, he's a DH. What does that mean? He's going to be here until he's 38 years old. We all know the Phillies are in a tough spot. We don't want to run it back, but you don't want to lose Schwarber. You don't want to get too old, but you don't want to lose Schwarber. You were in an unenviable situation where you had to make a decision on the most important player on your team who is getting older and is due to make a lot of money. I mean, ultimately, you're hoping that this guy did this while he was already paid, not becoming a free agent. I don't envy the situation that Dave Dombrowski was in, but he was in a no-win situation. You got to bring Schwarber back, but there's a possibility that, you're going to sign him, and in those last 2 to 3 years, listen, look what happened with Nick Castellanos. You gave him a 5-year deal a couple of years ago, and you didn't blink at it. Well, here we are in the last couple of years of that deal. You're trying to trade him. You're trying to get rid of him, and he's not even that old. Now, is Nick Castellanos better than Schwarber? No, but when you sign these guys in the same offseason, you gave Castellanos a 5-year deal. You gave Schwarber a 4-year deal. About the same money, but you thought that Castellanos had longer lifespan back then. So, ultimately, the Phillies were in a no-win situation, but they had to do this. Like, you almost have to do this. If you let Kyle Schwarber walk, you lose the PR game. It's a nightmare, and especially if the Mets are involved. Can you imagine Schwarber walking to the plate wearing a Mets uniform? It would be an epic failure. So you're in a situation where you had to sign Schwarber. Now, I'm not saying this was a bad move. I'm not saying it's a great move. They were in a no-win situation, and I think it's a move they have to do. 5 years, 150. It doesn't sound like it breaks the bank. It's not a ridiculous $300 million deal like you give to Bryce Harper or even Trea Turner. But here's what I would say. Now, money-wise, Those guys got $300 million contracts. Schwarber $150. It's a much more manageable number, only 5 years. So he stays with the Turner and the Harper and that whole thing. If you're Schwarber, you broke the bank. You stayed in the spot. Now the question is, what happens? What can you do next? What can you add to this team after this deal? Can you still do more stuff? Do you bring back JT Realmuto? The 5 years, $150, ultimately, it doesn't matter what they pay him. They had to get him back. They signed him for 4 years and $79 million the first time, and he turns it into this. So kudos to what Schwarber has done to this organization. He's going to be here now for 9 years with the 4 and then that 5. And he'll be 38 years old at the end, and then you would imagine that, that's probably it for him. Remember, this is a guy who's had some injury issues. He's missed time, full seasons. He had the ACL. But he's the kind of guy that you don't want to let leave. You want him in your locker room. He's the ultimate Philly. And he's probably the most important Philly right now. I mean, Bryce Harper is the most paid. He's the MVP. He's all that stuff. But Schwarber right now might be the guy on this organization. I don't know that there's a right or wrong answer here, but what I do know is you could not afford to let him go to the Mets or the Reds or anything like that. So you almost had to bring him back. Reaction on that, let us know. Like, rate, subscribe, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell, get us on YouTube, at Mike Gill Show, at BFA Live Sports. And I want to get into Rob Thomson here in a minute. What could be next for the Phillies? JT Realmuto is, he's a free agent. Got to decide what you want to do there. Now that you bring Schwarber back, do you bring back JT? Now you're ultimately going down the road of bringing back very similar team. So you got to bring back Schwarber, but how do you change this thing up? Heard Preston Mattingly last night. I think he was on MLB Network. He acknowledged that they're trying to get a change of scenery for Nick Castellanos. Okay, so you're going to change up the right field spot. How will that make the team look different? Right field will be different. Fine. What's Justin Crawford's role? Can they trade Bohm? Is there something still up the sleeve of Dave Dombrowski? Because I don't think you're going to be spending big money. By the way, Edwin Diaz just signed with the Dodgers. That was a name that, been kind of kicked around a little bit, not any hardcore stuff. But Edwin Diaz goes to the Dodgers. Think about that. The Dodgers now have Edwin Diaz. Think about the bullpen that they had against you in the playoffs when they were using Sasaki, basically a converted starter as their closer. Now they bring in Edwin Diaz to that team. So you got a lot of work to do still. And you got to fix your bullpen. You got to get somebody else to pitch in front of Duran. You've got to find that right-handed bat still. Don't know that he's out there. But you had to get this deal done because you were basically backed into a corner. The other news today, Rob Thomson, extended through 2027. I can't imagine this move makes a lot of people happy, but you couldn't have Rob Thomson go back as a lame duck. So essentially, you got to extend him, and if he doesn't do well, you're going to have to suck it up and pay him and move on. There was a part of me that thought that maybe you had to think about changing the manager of this team. Well, they came right out and said as soon as the playoffs ended that wasn't happening. So once Rob Thomson was coming back, you had to give him the extension. There's a lot of debate about Rob Thomson. He is the lightning rod conversation, if you will. Everybody blames the manager. We all love blaming the manager. This guy's done nothing but win. Second most wins in Phillies history. Second best winning percentage in Major League history. Phillies history, I should say. He's won 58% of his games. He's got 346 wins. This team's basically done, much like Nick Sirianni, done nothing but win, make the playoffs. The only thing they haven't done is won that World Series. Many people wonder if he's the reason why they're not winning the World Series. I'm not on that level, but you can certainly talk about some of the decisions that were made. The bunt, that comes up. That's in there. But couldn't let him out there flapping in the wind as a lame duck. So they had to make this decision. They had two moves that are unenviable situations for the Phillies. So what's next for them? What is next? What can they do to improve this team and not make it the run-back look? If you bring JT back and you have Schwarber and you have Harper, can you trade Stott? This Ketel Marte, the Marte stuff, I mean, are you giving up Andrew Painter to get Marte? Probably not. Marte's 32 years old. That's a lot to give up for a 32-year-old guy, although switch hitter, can hit left and right. Would fit nicely in your lineup. He has played the outfield before. Not a lot of people have talked about this. Marte played center field in 2023. I don't think he's your everyday center fielder, but can he play right? Can you put Marte in right field and hit him maybe number 2 in the lineup? And that puts Schwarber behind Harper, instead of having him hit in front of Harper. Then the problem would be then Schwarber doesn't get the protection. I think one of the reasons why Schwarber had one of the best years of all time, for him, his best year of all time, is he had Harper hitting behind him. That's the best protection that he's ever gotten. Harper has suffered because he has no one hitting behind him. So you put Marte in the lineup, you have Marte hitting in front of Harper, and then Harper hitting in front of Schwarber. The question would be then who hits behind Schwarber? But get creative. Figure out a way. This team needs to make that next move now that you have invested and you have made the plunge, if you will, to say, this is the guy we're bringing back. And quite frankly, he's the guy that has become almost the face of the franchise. Harper gets paid more money. Harper is the bigger name probably nationally. But the importance of him to this team probably means more than Harper. But I think this is the first domino. There has to be another one. You can't just rest on, hey, we brought Schwarber back. It wasn't good enough last year. Why would we think it would be good enough this year? All right. The Rob Thomson stuff, we can continue. And by the way, we'll be on the radio today. And we'll be weaving the Eagles in with this too. So Eagles, Philly stuff, be a part of the show. But make sure you subscribe on YouTube at Mike Gill Show, at BFA Live Sports. Watch us on the X platform. It's a big day. It's a big day with this signing because it really starts off the whole, offseason now maybe for the rest of the league. So, but the Schwarber thing is big. 5 years, 150. I mean, he's the highest paid guy, in terms of yearly on this team. So the pressure now, I won't say shifts from Harper to Schwarber, but you got this duo and really the trio. You got a $300 million guy in Turner too. Don't just discount that. That trio has to perform and produce, but they've got to find the complementary pieces. This is like a NBA team that has their big three, but now needs the role players. Got to get the right guys that come up big in the clutch, and it's not Alec Boehm, and it's not JT Real Muto, or it hasn't been, and it's not Bryce and Stott, although Stott did hit the grand slam in that game against the Marlins a couple of years ago. You got to find those guys that are just tough outs. They're grinded outs to complement these guys. All right, that's a quick now batting for the Phillies. No Bob today. We'll catch up with Bob. We'll have our as the offseason continues on, we'll continue to put out some stuff. And check us out on the BFA Live Sports YouTube channel. Share, subscribe, hit the bell, all that good stuff. We're back with when breaking news happens. We'll have it for you here. All right, everybody. Appreciate you all chiming in, checking in real fast. And we'll have more on the radio at 2 o'clock. Talk to you then.